Hello everybody, my name is Tiffany, I'm the Tipsy Artist, and we are going live today to do our super cute Santa with a cupcake. So I have the trace all done and I have the model behind me so you can keep an eye on it during the entire process, which makes it very lovely. All right, we've also got all of our awesome supplies. Let's go ahead and talk about that. I do have my paints already laid out, ready to go. I just use simple styrofoam plates. And then I've got a little handy bucket of water nearby. And then I have my brushes and then paper towel or a little rag. So we are all set here. And with this trace, oh, thank you. And hi, Rolinda. I love this Santa too. And I have a wonderful traceable for y'all, so it really helps get all the little details in here. I did a little video of it this morning. I'm going to post it so that you'll always have a reference to it right after this. You can see it and you can watch the process on that, and that way it always makes it really easy. So I will be posting that as well. So very easy. So it just looks like a little, well, it just looks just like this. So it's just on paper. And then we give you graphite paper and then you just transfer it over. Hello, Sean. Yes, and hi, Rhonda. Hi, Rolinda. Hi, Larry. So welcome, welcome. All right, so we're gonna start mixing up some awesome paint here. And I am going to be using the biggest brush that I've got in my little kit here. So I call this brush Mama. And I'm going to start with a beautiful turquoise blue in the background. Okay, so here we go. I am going to be picking up a dollop of green. This is like a basic cadmium green here. And then dollop of blue, and then a dollop of the white. So it's about 3 equal parts there, blue, green, and white. And I'll mix all these together. And this will give me a beautiful turquoise color. And there it is. Now the other thing that I like to do for fun is I like to keep some of those pure colors off to the side so that I can kind of dip into those. Maybe not so much the green because we're doing a sky, but I'll keep some of that pure blue and then the turquoise that I mix up. And then I also like a little bit of just pure white off to the side. And then I'll start to go ahead and crisscross this in. So I take that brush, Mama, and I just hold it parallel to the canvas. Little cross strokes back and forth. And then let's push in a little bit of white too. So I'll do a little crisscross of that as well. Now there's a couple of different ways that you can create texture in your background. So you can do this crisscross stroke, or you can go ahead and do it in more of just a nice horizontal stroke, just back and forth, just nice sweeping strokes. A little bit of white with that too. So that's another option, is to go ahead and apply the paint, just sweeping horizontal strokes back and forth. Or that little crisscross stroke that we talked about. Or there's also a fun little Pounce Effect that you can do if you'd like it to be, can't see your hand. Can't see the hand technique. Uh-oh. Do I need to move it like this? Wait, this? Is that better? Tell me a thumbs up. I tried to set it up initially with my video camera. But you guys, somebody's let me know. Okay. Hopefully I'm out of the way. Yes, okay, yay. Sorry about that. I'm still trying to, see, it's weird because normally I would look awesome. You would think I'll be able to see, but when I go live, the entire screen is filled with everybody talking to me, which is awesome. So, but I can't really see any of this. So, you know, oh well, Facebook. You're trying your best. Hi, Kathy. All right, so here we go. Well, I'm so glad you said something now and not later when I was halfway done with the painting. So that would have been sad for everybody. Oh, great, tutorial where you can't see. All right, so again, here's all the different strokes. You can do this lovely horizontal stroke, just back and forth. All right, or that little crisscross stroke, and I like to add some different colors into the mix here. A little bit of white, maybe a little bit of blue. Oh, thank you. Joe's haircut is fabulous. You can't can't do anything about his face, but you can cut his hair. That's pretty funny. I don't know if he heard that. I said that out loud. He's walking around. That's true. You can't do anything about his face. I'll have to give him a hard time about that later. All right, one other technique I want to show you. I won't continue on with this one, but you're more than welcome to do it. It's a little Pounce Effect. So you can take these same colors, take your brush, more paint on the flat side. Hi, Donna. And then tap, tap, tap on the side. So that makes it super textural in the background. So that's another little fun thing that you can do. So if you like a very fun textural look, just pounce on the side of your brush. So again, all very fun options. All right, I'm gonna switch to an even bigger brush just so I can really get good coverage here. So blue, white, more white off here to the side. I got that little touch of green, so I'll mix all that together. And then I'll sweep this onto the surface here. I'm gonna get large amounts to begin with. And then I'll crisscross out some pattern to make it a little more textural once I get big, large amounts of coverage into the background. Now, when you start to do your cut-in work, you can just use the edge sides of the brush to get just as close as you can to the edge. I think it's easier to try to put pressure on your brush, get it thinned out to where you get a nice thin edge on the end of the brush. That's not super thin, but we're getting there. The more pressure I apply. All right, so now we're there. So nice thin edge. Then you can go ahead and use the edge side of that. Hold the brush like a pencil and take it all the way around that shape. And then fill in. Go ahead and feather it back out to the background there. So I'll be filling in all this beautiful turquoise. I'm going to step out here to where you can still see it better. I want to be in front of it. I'm getting used to my new setup. This is really helping. So for those of you who've been painting with me for a while, you will notice that my painting used to be way back here. Now we've got it angled and facing towards the front, which is quite lovely. Next, I'm going to go back and redo every single tutorial, which, you know, wouldn't hurt me, I guess, and it would only help. I'll get on that. Paint twice a day. All right, so more cut-in work here. And then all the way around the edges. So I try to use the bigger brush as much as I can, and then as soon as I start to get closer to the edges, hi Mom! My mom is on, you guys. Her name is Mary. You can say hi Mom or hi Mary. I think my mom has painted this one with me before. I think. Can't remember. You painted so much with me, I don't know. I don't remember every single painting you've done. So getting it as close as I can. Before I have to switch over to another brush. Now let's go ahead and get a little bit textural now. So little cross strokes back and forth. We'll put in a few of those in the background. That makes it look fun. And over here, a few more over here. All right, so I still have a few little details with cut in. So I need a smaller brush. So let's see, this is really small, but do I have that small? Let's use this one right here. All right, so let's do a little bit brush here. Do a little twist into the turquoise color. And see, I've got tiny little shape right in through here, and then one right here. And one right here. I knew there was one other one. So you just hold the brush like a pencil, and then go ahead and work into these tiny little areas here. All right, I think I've got it. Maybe, oh, right there. Yeah, just kind of make sure and take a step back and check all those little empty spots. All right, so we're all good. Okay, so now I'm gonna go ahead and do some of that flesh tone for this Santa. So this Santa, he lives in the North Pole. He doesn't get that much sun. So we're gonna do mostly white, little tiny touch of the gold, and then a tiny little touch of the red. So we'll mix all that together, and that'll give us a flesh tone. And you can adjust this as needed. You can add more, I mean, if you want to do different skin tones, you can certainly just do brown with it, more gold. I always like to do a little bit of gold with the brown. Hello, Haley. Welcome. And you can darken this up too, make it more golden with, again, more gold on this too. I'll tell you what I don't like though. If you're gonna go with the brown, if you add white to it, it's not, that usually does not do well for you. You have to go more golden tones. So do something more like a yellow ochre with the brown. That really helps warm it up. But it doesn't lighten it in a strange way, in an unnatural way. So white doesn't usually work that well. Little helpful hint on that. All right, so I've got this just kind of a peachy tone here. So I'm gonna go ahead and paint into all this area with the face. Now, the good news is I've got my Sharpie work done, so I can go ahead and just be a little bit sloppy with my work and go into the whole face area and not worry too much about that. And then I've got a fun little trick I'll show you on the eyes where we're gonna dot those out later. So just go ahead and cover it all in. It's easier on you. I can even cover up the nose, because actually the nose will be a real pretty little pink that I'll do later. So the other thing I'll say about flesh tone, this is a really small area to work into, so that's a relief. But the main thing you want to know is that you want to make sure you get enough mixed up in the beginning so that it's all one solid color over that surface area. Because what usually creates issues with skin tone is that, especially for beginners, because you don't want to think too much about shading. I would just keep it like flat color blocks of skin tone. So you just want it to all be the same color. And so if you don't mix up enough, then sometimes people try to remix and then rework into certain areas, and it looks really splotchy and uneven. So again, the trick is make sure you mix up enough to begin with, and then just smooth it all into that area. All right, so we are all set there. And then I want to go ahead and do that really pretty pink that I talked about. So I want to do a little bit more red over here, still using my little bit brush. A lot more red, a little bit of white. We're going to make just a really pretty light pink color. And I'll hold the brush like a pencil, and I'll just kind of circle that out. And then push into that little circle space. Then now to go ahead and smooth it out, then I turn the handle over to the side and get really good coverage over the top. There's my cute little pink nose. Real sweet. All right, and then I don't want people getting freaked out about those eyes. Somebody might come in and go, that's weird. All right, so I am going to use the handle of a brush. This is that fun trick I was telling you about to do a circle. So let's see here, and this may be, I want to make sure that's not too big. So we'll use our mama brush here, and I'm going to take the handle side and I'll dip right into the black. So I'll just take it, dip right down, and then I'll press straight forward over that little eye shape. And there's our little eye. And I'll do it again. And then just firm pressure. And there's our other little eye. Super cute. All right. So there is that. All right, now let's do some little white eyebrows over the top here too. So just take your little bit brush and dip into the white. And he's just going to have really nice white eyebrows. So I'll just go ahead and fill all into that section. You can have a little bit of light gray with this if you want. But I definitely, if you do that, let me show you a little bit of that. Just take a teeny tiny touch of black into the white. You definitely want to pre-mix it on your plate. You don't want to try to do any of that blending on the surface area here. And then as you apply the paint, you can go ahead and just kind of act like you're brushing out your eyebrows. Anybody ever do that? Oh, my daughter's on here. Hi, London. You know, Grandma's on here too. It's pretty exciting. Got the whole family. It's very exciting. All right, so we're doing fun little eyebrows. Lots of white. You can do a little bit of light soft gray too if you want. I lost my music. I'm so sad. Hey, honey bear. Hey, honey bear. He's sanding in this workshop, so he can't hear me. Hey, lover. Hey, honey bear. Hey, can you help me and see if we can't get some more music going, please?
What, honey?
My music turned off.
Where at?
It's on my computer, and I have it minimized, so that makes it not as easy to find. But it's the iTunes. You should just be able, it should just be to where if you click on it, it'll pull straight up, and then you can just, it's
What's your password?
Tipsy Artist. No caps. Now everybody knows how to get in my computer. Oh well. Okay, so I've got cute little eyebrows now. They're all white. And let's see. You know, the other thing you can do is a little highlight of white on the nose. So I do what looks like little parentheses. Hi, Audrey. So again, just a tiny little parentheses, and then you just do it up onto one side. All right, now I'm going to mix up a little bit more gray for the hair. We're going to work in some of that too. He left me. He did not do my music. He just got into my computer and walked out. I hope he comes back. I'm going to try to get more music going for us. So you'll have to go, you know how at the dock, it's iTunes at the dock, should just be out in the open, or should just pop right up, and then you should be able to just hit play. I'm not sure why it turned off. Yay. Thanks, babe.
Sure.
Now we have happy music going again. This is very exciting. Yeah, it's fine. I think so. Thanks, love. That was my honey bear helping me out. Giving me tunes. If you're wondering about these jazzy tunes and how lovely they are, This is copyright-free music. Oh, yay! So taking your lunch break, if you can't paint, you can at least watch some painting. LOL, yes. Way to go. And get some license-free happy music from YouTube. It's kind of like really happy elevator music. You know, we get our thrills where we can. All right, so we have lovely little white hair happening. So I'll kind of keep pushing that in there. Still using my little bit brush, I'm going to smooth a little bit more white here into the gray, and then we'll go ahead and do some in the mustache. And I just push it all the way across here. And I basically just try to hold the brush and just hold it in a way as if you were combing out your mustache. Now, if you don't have a mustache, I don't either, but if I were to comb someone's mustache, just think how awesome that would be, and this is how I would do it. Just kind of like you're combing somebody's hair. All right, so we'll continue to push this in, and I'm going to keep my brush small. Maybe add just a teeny bit more black. I'm going to be super tiny with that because I'll add just a few little gray strokes going through there. And again, I'll keep my brush small while I'm still doing the mustache here, but when I get out into the bearded area, then I will go to a bigger brush. That will be a lot easier on you to fill that in. All right, and a little bit of white. All right, so this is in Sharpie, so I can go ahead and cover it, and then I'll reinforce that little cute smile of his later. And then as I come up underneath the smile, then I'll work into it a little bit tinier parts of that black in with the gray. And I'll just kind of push those down into little strokes that simulate just like hair growth. So again, it's just kind of almost act like you're combing through hair here. Go in the same pattern that it grows. And then push into a little bit of white. And just follow that through. All right, this is getting to be a little bit small, so I'm going to switch over to a little buddy brush. All right, so here's little buddy. And I'm gonna push into a little bit more white, a little bit of that gray too, and then I'll go ahead and just fill into this whole area. And a little bit more of the gray now. I just want a little bit of some contrast happening here that almost looks like little bits of lovely beard hair coming down into the mix. I was losing that a little bit with just too much white, so I needed to see a little bit more contrast happening. So then I'll kind of smooth this into the paint here. Come up from that cupcake. Pull down from there. Touch into a little bit more of that gray. Wonderful. Okay, so now I need to go ahead and create a little bit of a line around the mustache. I'm gonna darken up my gray just a tad, and then I wanna get a nice smooth line happening. So I'm working my little buddy into the paint here, firm pressure back and forth, and then I'll go ahead and outline around this. But it is a little bit darker so that it provides a little bit of a contrasting line there between the mustache and the beard. So again, I'm pushing a little bit more soft black into that gray. So see, it's a little bit darker and helps define that mustache out in front. Hi Deborah, and thank you so much. So making the gray a little bit more of like a charcoal color. And we'll do the same thing up here by the hair. Just adding a few little light touches here for like little hair strands that come up into the mix there. And I don't want to forget that smile up there, so I'm going to go ahead and come back in with my little bit brush. Definitely, I'm making sure there's no excess water in it, because as I apply pressure on the canvas, I do not want a water run, so it's just moist but no excess water. And I'm going to go ahead and dip into just a tiny amount of black here, and then I'll go ahead and make a little smile. Yay, he's so cute. All right, so there's this cute little smile now. And then the top of the, oh, you know what, and do, well, let's see. Let's focus. Let's go up here and make sure I get all this gray work done and white up here first, and then I'll move down to the cupcake. All right, so little buddy again. And I want this to be more white up here at the top. All right, so here's my little buddy brush and just white paint. And just go ahead and push into that surface area. Theoretically, you wouldn't necessarily have to paint this part since the canvas is painted and primed white, but I think it always helps it look a little bit better to bring in that white texture over the surface area. And then the other thing you can do too is you can add just a hint of light gray to it, tiny touch of light gray. So that adds a little bit of dimension to that white as well. But you definitely don't want it to be too dark. You want to keep it really, really light, just about as light as you can, with just a hint of the lightest shades of gray coming through the top part of the hat here. And then we'll reinforce the outline over that later. But for right now, we want to go ahead and get that solid color in there. And now we'll come down and work on the top of our cupcake. It is also just more of a really cute solid white. All right, so little buddy. And just solid white in here. Not doing any of my outline work just yet. I'm going to wait and do that later, but we're going to go ahead and get this color blocking done. Work that in. All right, now I want just a touch of gray in here too. And a little bit of white. So it'll ultimately start looking more just like a white cup on the end there, but normally in real life anyway, whites are not actually always just pure white. They have, you know, little hints of sometimes the gray or even sometimes hints of cream in them. All right, so those are the little cuffs there. Let's see, oh, and I've got a lot of that happening down here too. Did not want to forget about that. Okay, so again, this is still part of his snazzy outfit here. So this is where that white fur comes down. And it's mostly white with, again, that just little touch of light gray into the mix. And I'm still just using my little buddy brush here, or you can use the mama brush. This is a pretty big area to work into. Okay, awesome. Okay, now let's go ahead and do the cupcake part, which has some gold tones to it, or some like cadmium yellow, primary yellow mixed together. Those are really nice little cupcake colors. And then I'm going to add some white to that. Still using my little buddy brush, and then I'll go ahead and paint this into this little section here. And then feather it out with the flat side of the brush. Wonderful. Now we're about to do buffalo check. It's very exciting. Okay, buffalo check. Okay, so we made this easy to start with, and the pattern is already there on your sheet, and you'll even see the area that starts with the black first. And if you're not a buffalo check fan, you can absolutely just ignore all that in the trace and just leave it plain. So you can do something else. Then what I'll do is, every time you see a black square, you want to make sure that you have gray on all four sides. So then we'll mix up some of that dark gray with a little bit of black, a little bit of white, just about equal parts together on that. And my little buddy brush. All right, so we've got it, it'll be coming in on this side. I may have switched to a smaller brush. I think I am. This gets to be pretty tiny in here. Yep, that's becoming, it's not working. All right, so. Well, I want a little bit, but I don't want one that small. So where is, this is good. Okay, so a little bit that's not so teeny. Do a little twist here into the paint. So when I said all four sides, and then whatever's left over, see, that's going to be white. And then that's it. That's going to be done. Makes it so easy. So working in all four sides here. And then down here. And then here. Yay. Oh, I just realized I've got this little snowball up here I need to do. Forgot about him. So let's use our little bit brush again and do, this is back to that same color that we are using for like the cuffs and the top of the hat. So a lot of white, teeny touch of that light gray. So I'll push this into that little shape there. All right, wonderful. So we are done with that. And let's do the green. I'm saving my red till last. Okay, so green, I always add a little bit of white to the green. That makes it cover much better on the canvas. So So a little touch of white to the cadmium green helps it be much more opaque over the surface. And then I'll use my little bit brush again, and I'll just hold that brush like a pencil and then paint into this little shade. These are the holly leaves. They're lovely. You know, holly leaves are what made me start doing templates in the beginning. I will never forget. We're supposed to be having fun at a paint party, and a lady started to cry because her holly leaves were not working out. I was trying to teach everybody how to freehand everything back then. This was years ago. And so I said, there are no tears. And I cut out a shape there at the party, and I started passing them out. And then that's what created the template. Then everybody said, oh, she's that painting lady that makes shapes for us to trace. So yes, helps. All right, so it's still a little bit translucent, so I'm going to push in a little bit more white into the green, get another mix here, and then I'll lay another coat on the flat side of the brush. And sometimes with some of these you'll just have to let it dry and do a second coat, which is really a great idea if you've got the time and you're just hanging out. You want to be a little bit more leisurely about the process, because sometimes if you try to put on the second coat a little too quickly, if the paint's still wet, it'll just push that paint right off the surface. So I have to work a little bit more quickly since I'm going live, but I just try to use a very gentle hand through this process. All right, so there's my beautiful green for my holly leaves. Now, okay, so we've got red, holly berries, red hat. And you know what? Okay, so his mittens are gonna be a really fun, he's a very stylish Santa. So he's going to have cheetah print mittens. So we just have, I thought it'd be fun, and plus, you know, some people, and again, if those patterns are not your thing, just ignore it. Do something else. You can just do solid colors too. So you could actually have green mittens, which would be really adorable. But I'm gonna go ahead and do this. It also gave me the opportunity to teach a different pattern. I think my idea was when I taught this, that if, for example, if somebody wasn't a huge fan of the buffalo check, then they could go ahead and do, like maybe they could do cheetah print on the muffin as well. So that way, that's probably how the cheetah print happened, because that's a lot of pattern happening, but I was probably trying to make sure that I could teach both techniques in one class, and then that people could make the choice that they wanted. Or you could have both. All right, so that's the base of cheetah print. I always start with a really pretty light cream to begin with. Now this is a small area, so I want to make sure I have a really tiny little brush. And I definitely started with that base being a very light cream. So if I just even use like a basic gold color, just pure, straight, I can just do little spots of that, and then it'll contrast over the top. So I'll just kind of push down with that, and I want to make my pattern random. So I don't want them to all be going in the same direction. So again, just kind of lay the brush down on the, like more the flat side, and make sure you push it in different diagonal motions. Again, make it really random there. You don't want it to be all too uniform. You want it to have that more organic, free quality to it. All right, and then come back in with your little bit brush. Make sure I rinsed it off. Make sure you then, make sure it's just moist and no excess water in here, because again, you don't want those water runs. Or, of course, if you're working at home too, safer is even just lay it flat on your tabletop, which a lot of you work that way anyway, but that really helps keep you from getting water runs. All right, so I'm gonna dip down into the black paint. Now I've got a nice fine point. And I'll make what looks like a little parentheses, and I'll push it around each side. And I kind of want to wiggle my hand as I do this too. So if you have a shaky hand, it's actually your friend during this process. So again, little parentheses, a little bit of a wiggle while you do it. And just that tiny little stroke right around the edge. And again, it's just like a little parentheses on either side. Ta-da! There it is. All right, now let's work small again. Still using a little bit. We're going to do some of our cute little holly berries. And just pure red paint. And I'll just kind of spin it in a little circle. And you want to be careful if you do this technique I'm doing now, but ideally, if your canvas is all dry, you can rest the weight of your hand on your pinky and it helps stabilize your hand while you do these smaller moves in here. So that's another little helpful trick. You just want to watch where you place your hand and make sure you don't stick it in wet paint. We have our little flies friend, or we have, you know, we've mentioned the flies. So many flies here. And I have a friend and he keeps coming to visit me. So I start shooing. That's what's happening. All right. Cute little holly leaves. We can also do fun little sprinkles on top of our cupcake. So let's talk about that too. All right, so this is where we like to use the brush handle again, and we dip down into the paint. All right, so I will do some green, that'll be fun. And just sprinkle those around. All right, and then let's do some red too. Very Christmassy that way. So see, it's on the end of the handle and then I just press straight down. And there we go. Okay, so now we need to work in some lovely red color into our outfit here. All right, so this first stroke will look a little bit translucent because I'm just getting that first amount of coverage on, doing my cut-in work, holding the brush with that line edge to cut in around the edge here. Now, one of the reasons why I saved red till the end is because I did not want it interfering with all the white that we have in this design, because a lot of times what happens is you can get a lot of unnecessary pink accents happening in what's ideally supposed to be more white or gray, because that red will blend into that. So I save my red for last. Now once I've got a nice thick coat for that first coat, come in with a second coat, and then I'll just take my brush and hold it more over to the side. So I'll hold it more parallel to the canvas, and then that will really help me get a nice thick amount of red resting on top. All right, so line edge. Start with that first. And keep in mind, we still have a little bit of outlining to do too, which will really help firm up a lot of this pattern, because we've done our color blocking so far, and so you tend to have this raw look, and then once you bring in those outlines. Hello Shannon, welcome. But once you have those outlines that come in, it really makes those shapes pop out over the top. All right, so I'm getting a little bit of that streaky, translucent look, so I'm coming back in over the top, brush parallel to the surface, and that helps make it more opaque. What it basically does is gives me a very gentle hand, and then allows a lot more of that paint to just rest right on the surface. Got a little bit of a curve going here, so I'll use the line edge side of my brush. And then we'll work back into it here in just a minute. Alright, and then this little section over here. I just love this little guy. He's so cute. And he comes bearing the best gift. Little cupcake. This would make for a really good like holiday party theme painting. So you could have cupcakes with your friends and then paint this. It gives you a good excuse to eat cupcakes. That's where that's my angle. Not that you need an excuse to eat cupcakes, I guess. You could just go get one. All right, so now I'm positioning in more paint into the flat side of the brush. See, that gives me much better coverage over the surface. More gentle hand. And then now we have the cute little hat. All right, I gotta be careful. I've got a little bit, watch this too on your plate, so sometimes I get paint that will run into each other. Gotta watch that a little bit. I don't want red and green to mix. They are not friendly. They just pretty much go black. Now, some paints do well together. You get happy accidents, but red and green, they just go very dark. All right, this is getting to be kind of T90 in here. So I'll have to switch over to a smaller brush to get into that little section. But I want to sweep on another nice coat here, because it's looking a little translucent. Let's see. Need a little buddy. Now I'm going to feather this out a little bit. So I do that using the flat side of the brush. Sometimes I have to come in with an even just a slightly bigger brush. All right, so there's my beautiful red hat. And don't be afraid to do second coats on that either, because red can be a little bit challenging and it can be very translucent. So sometimes it really just needs a second coat to help really make it work in the end. Okay, so now we have those nice little tiny lines that we need to do. All right, so I'm going to be using my little bit brush now. Just kind of dab into it. And I'll start by doing just a really nice, fine, delicate line right around this little, it's like a little cotton ball, but that's the little ball on his hat. So you want to keep this line just very thin and delicate. So sometimes what you'll have to do is, as you're loading up the brush, do a little twist into the paint. I keep this one really light here, almost like a light sketch. But you'll really see how this really helps. Now the only thing I don't outline will be the eyebrows, because I have found that becomes a little bit, well, it doesn't work out all the time. So I've seen too many things go wrong at shows where you start to do a black outline around the eyebrow and it just becomes a little bit too dramatic. So look at the cute koozies as she gets a drink. Little sales plug. I'm so thirsty. It's so humid right now. It's so hot. Normally I don't get this hot while I teach, but I'm back here by the window and it's just so humid today. Okay. All right, so a little black line now. Still continue on with this. Now, the tiny little curves, I'll use my little bit brush for. But if it gets to be a pretty long line, which we're going to get into some of those, I'll definitely try to use a bigger brush for that. But with all these little curves, you really kind of have to just use your little bit brush for a lot of that. So I'm going to actually try to do a little bit more of that. I think it'll be easier. So, all right, so let's use Little Buddy, because see how the end has that little flat top right there? Makes a nice thin line. So as much as I can, try to work that in. just making sure. I've got a little bit of holly work to do here. This is where you want to go ahead and use your little pinky to help stabilize your hand too if you need it. Just a little accent here. I can't. My light blocks my vision. I cannot see sometimes. I'll come back and look at it afterwards, but I get little blind spots because of my filming. And see, now I'm seeing it, so. All right, beautiful. Thank you so much, and hi, Cindy. All right, so we are done with our cute little Santa for today. He's looking so cute. We're still finishing up our Christmas in July, and we'll be coming back at you tomorrow too with our, let me go ahead and show you. We will have snowman all traced out. And then our beautiful little snowman. So we'll be doing this with you tomorrow at 12:30. So we will see you then. But y'all have a beautiful rest of the day, and we will see you tomorrow. See you soon.